All right, Shalom. First off, I want to say all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS. And Shalom to you elect out there, person word in sincerity and in truth. This is GMS Precepts. My name is Nazar Khad. And basically, I wanted to touch on, I didn't want to read this first, but I wanted to touch on how the Lord, how the Most High will deal with our enemies, man, and deal with anybody that offends us. Okay? So this is Matthews 18, verse 6. I didn't want to read this verse, but it was here already. So this is Matthews 18 and 6. It says, But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believeth in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. So what is that talking about? First, you got to ask, who are these little ones? Right? It says, whoever shall offend one of these little ones. The little ones represent the elect. All right, the little ones represent the elect of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So it says, whoever offends one of these little ones, basically the Most High is going to deal with you. That's why from the top down, the apostles always stress you got to treat each other very brotherly, man. Okay, because you don't know who you're dealing with. That brother that you might look down on or mistreat, or not act brotherly towards him or offend him, he could be the elect, man. He could be one of these little ones that the scripture's speaking about. Okay? And the apostles are good examples of that. They treat us accordingly. They treat each other accordingly. All right? And they always stress you got to treat each other accordingly, man. Okay? So, like I said, there are plenty examples of the Lord paying back our enemies, but I wanted to touch on one account with David. This is 1 Samuel, the 25th chapter. I'm not going to read the whole chapter because it's like 40, 50 verses. How many is 44 verses? I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but basically, y'all brothers can read this on your own, but I'm going to just go over it real quick. This is the account when a situation with David when he was offended by a person named Nabal, okay, which means fool in the Hebrew, right? He was offended by Nabal, and basically the Lord dealt with that person, man. All right, the Lord dealt with him. So let me just read the first two. I'm gonna read verse. This is 25th, 1 Samuel 25 and 2. It says, and there was a man of Maon whose possessions were in Carmel, and the man was very great, and he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of this man was Nabal, which means fool or foolish, and the name of his wife was Abigail. She was a woman of good understanding and had a beautiful countenance, meaning she was she had some sense. Okay, it's not like she understood deep scriptures or anything like that. She had some sense, and she used the scriptures and applied them. Okay, and she was and of a beautiful countenance, but the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. So this dude Nabal was very churlish. It means like stubborn or stiff-necked, or matter of fact, let's go to the blue letter. I'm right here anyway. Churlish, right? It's quasha, and that means hard, cruel, severe, difficult, fierce, intense, stubborn, stiff-necked. You see, all right. So he was churlish, all right. Just to give you a backdrop or understanding of this dude named Nabal. So basically, Nabal, what David did was he asked his young men to go over to Nabal and ask him for some provisions or some, of whatever he had, if he can spare anything. Matter of fact, it's right here. I might as well read it. Yeah, verse 5. I read verse 4. It says, And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men, and David said unto the young men, get you up to Carmel, and go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus shall ye say to him that liveth in prosperity, peace be unto thee, and peace be unto thine house, and peace be unto all that thou hast. It says, and now I have heard that thou hast shearers. Now thy shepherds which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was there aught missing unto them all the while they were in Carmel. Meaning David's like, yo, look, when we were in Carmel, and your shepherds were with us, we didn't hurt them. Nothing was missing all the time we were there. It says, ask thy young men and they will show thee. Yeah, so he's like, ask your men and they'll tell you this, that this is a fact. Wherefore let thy young men find favor in thy sight, for we come in a good day. Give, I pray thee, whatsoever cometh to thine hand unto thy servants and to thy son David. So he's like, look, if you have anything to spare, we would greatly appreciate that. And now look at this nigga's reaction. It says, or I'll read verse 9. It says, and when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to other words in the name of David, and ceased. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? So that's showing you that he knew who David was. It's not like because he said, who is the son of Jesse? It's not like he didn't know who David was. He knew who he was. He was like, who's David? Who's the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master, meaning, because this is the time when David, he had his beef with Saul, and he had just left him, right? So he's like, yeah, there be many servants nowadays that break away from their master. It continues, shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed from my shears and give it to men whom I know not whence they be? Right? So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told all those sayings. So basically, like I said, I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but basically what happened was David's men, they came back and told him what Nabal said, how disrespectful he was. What did David do? He told he told his men, yo, grab your swords and we're going to go down there, and he planned to kill him. Okay? He planned to kill him. But Abigail, the wife of Nabal, just like it says in the first few verses, that she was a woman of understanding, so she had some wisdom. So when Abigail heard that David was going to come and kill everybody that was there, she gathered up some provisions for him, right? Met him and basically asked for forgiveness. Okay, he asked David to have mercy on Nabal and the whole household, and David did so, right? Then, matter of fact, I'm gonna go down to this part. It says, then when she came back, this is verse 36, is when she came back from giving David the gifts, the provisions, and then David had mercy on Nabal. It says, verse 36, and Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house like a feast of the king, and Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing less or more until the morning light. But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as stone. And it came to pass about 10 days after, that the Lord smote Nabal, that he died. So basically, he fell into some coma type state, right? For fear, because Abigail told Nabal that, look, David was going to kill you, me, and everybody in the whole household. So he must have got shook to the point of falling into some coma-like state, and then died 10 days later. The Most High did that, man. Matter of fact, it tells you, look, and it came to pass about 10 days after that the Lord smote Nabal, then he died. So the Lord did that, man. So basically the point was, David didn't have to lift a finger, okay? Just like it tells in Matthew 18:6, if you offend one of these little ones, if you offend a man of the Lord, the Most High is gonna deal with you, man. The Most High is gonna deal with that person. All right, so that was pretty much a lesson. Pretty much stating that you necessarily don't have to do anything physical to anybody if you're offended by somebody and you're a man of the Lord. The Most High will deal with our enemies, man. All right, that's why our number one enemy right now is the Edomites, and the Most High is going to deal with them, and as well as the other nations, and that's coming soon. Okay, so that was a lesson. Real quick, until the next show, Shalom.